Welcome everyone to the Iowa Youth Survey 2018 webinar training. My name is Pat McGovern. I'm with the Iowa Department of Public Health. I'm the Iowa Youth Survey Director at the department, and my counterpart on the webinar is...
Hi, I'm Deshauna Jones, and I'm with the Iowa Consortium for Substance Abuse Research and Evaluation.
Thank you, Deshauna. Deshauna and I will be tag teaming for this webinar training today. I'll take about the first half, and then she'll take over and take us through the end, with both of us jumping in as we see fit, or if one of us misses something, more likely it will be me. So bear with us, and we're really hoping that this webinar will prepare you to administer the Iowa Youth Survey in your district, in your school building, in your non-public school, whatever your situation may be. And we do provide our contact information at the end of the slideshow, so that if you have any questions that we did not answer, or you would like additional technical assistance, or just want to be even more prepared, you know the best ways to reach out to us. We will be providing a classroom facilitators checklist, and it will have some key guidance, which I will cover now, or try to summarize now, but there will be more detail in that checklist, and it's just really trying to ensure that the proctor, the person administering the survey in the individual classrooms, is prepared, and that we have some standardization. Prior to administering the survey, know who the contacts are for your district. This should be someone within the building, if it's not you, and someone at the district level. And this is in case of significant problems or issues that arise that you're just not sure who to handle. Knowing who to report to or who to share that information with is important. Equally as important is knowing any students who should not be receiving the survey, or should not be participating. This would be if their parent or guardian has opted them out of the survey. It is very important that they do not complete the survey in any way, shape, or form. Please remember that the survey is strictly voluntary, so even if a parent or guardian did not opt the student out, the student can choose to opt out at any time. This may mean they just don't want to start it, or it might mean they get started and get through 5 questions or 10 questions or 45 questions for that matter, and then choose to just shut it down. That's perfectly acceptable. Students can also skip questions anytime. You won't really be able to see that from where you're at or your position, but it's entirely up to them and their comfort levels. There are only a couple of questions that we require to be answered, and these are the county number, the building name and number, and the district number. And these data points are very important for us when we do some sub-state reportings, including your district or non-public school. Before students enter the classroom or the area where the survey will be administered, if you're in a computer lab, make sure all the computer labs are turned on, that they're ready to roll, and that the survey link is open on each machine or readily accessible. Be sure to have the following information written on a chalkboard, on the smart board, or somewhere where all the students can see. This would be the county number or numbers. And I say numbers because if you're on a district or in a non-public school that's near a county line, you may have students coming from more than one county into your building. Also on the board or the announcement spot, wherever it's being posted, will be the district number, the building number, and name. As students enter those items into the first page of the survey, it is okay to circulate around the room to answer any questions students have and to make sure that they are getting those numbers entered into the actual survey itself. And again, these numbers are critically important, as we use those numbers when we're creating the county reports, when we're creating the district non-public school report, or even the building level report if you're in a high school building. So getting those numbers right means that those students' results will be counted where they should be. If you're in a one-to-one school, the survey should be compatible with any any system you have. It's done via SurveyMonkey, and so if you have iPads, MacBooks, laptops, or tablets, or some other devices, it should work just fine. You can't pre-program the computers like you would in a computer lab to all be open to the right place. So there are a couple different ways that you can share the link with the students once they're situated in the room. One is to write the link, the URL, on a smart board or a chalkboard, or again somewhere where the students can all see it and they can key the link in. Or if there's a secure classroom page or email or some other way that you can communicate with a class electronically that they can then just click the link, even more efficient, you can send that to them, share that with them at the time. We do ask that you do not put the link up on your district or building website or somewhere else where it's publicly accessible. What we don't want is other students completing the survey, other school personnel, or the general public. That we want the results to reflect the students' perceptions and experiences, and not anyone who stumbles across the link on a website somewhere. The other important thing is that that survey link is unique to your district or school. So putting it somewhere where another school could stumble upon it and use it instead of their own can mean that your data get all mixed up and jumbled and make it a lot harder to provide you with data from your students. As the survey is being administered, monitor as best you can to make sure students are doing their own survey, that they're not looking at someone else's to either copy their answers, because there are no right answers, or that they're looking and commenting on what someone else is answering. We want people to feel comfortable. We want students to feel comfortable answering questions, based on their experiences, their attitudes, their beliefs, and not based on what someone else might be thinking we should be saying. While the students are participating or completing the survey, go ahead and fill out the building census form. Deshaun is going to talk about it a little bit later, but getting accurate numbers is important. So if you have 23 sixth graders completing the survey on September 12th, go ahead and write that number down on the building census form so you have it ready to roll once it's time to turn that back in. Do not walk around the room. Earlier I talked about that first page when they're entering the county number, the building number and name, and the district number. That is the only time you should be circulating around the room. Make sure those questions are answered correctly. After that, go to the front of the room and just be stationed there. Again, this is to ensure that the responses are confidential and that the respondents aren't feeling any pressure or any stress or any undue burden from completing the survey. If you do see a student who appears to be struggling or distressed with the survey questions, please do please do connect them with a guidance counselor or other support staff within your school. That could be a sign that something else is going on. A sign that they were struggling with some of the words used or something like that, but definitely err on the side of caution and get them connected just in case there's something there that you could use some support on. And finally, if a student needs to quit the survey before finishing, that's just fine. Have him or her close the browser window or jump out of the survey. This could be if they get called to the office, if they have to go to an appointment, something like that. If they have another conflict, if they're on the sports team, the team leaving for a competition that day. So again, close out the survey where they're at. We'll save the data that they've submitted, and some data are better than no data, and it is just fine for them to stop wherever they're at. Once the students are done completing the survey, make sure they've closed out of the survey. And again, if you're in a one-to-one environment, they can just navigate to a new page. They can close out of that window, whatever needs may be. If you're in a computer lab, you can reset it so it goes back to the start screen for the next round of youth that will be completing the survey, or they can exit out and go about their business as well. Thank them for participating in the survey. Again, we can't do this without them. We can't do this without you either. And the data are very valuable, hopefully to all of you, but also to other community partners at the city and county level, but also to statewide planners at the Department of Public Health and other state departments. If you encounter problems during the session, note any problems that may occur on the building census form. And some of this may have to happen after you're done addressing the problem, but please do go back and make sure you capture that information as best you can on that building census form. Again, this helps us when we see oddities in the data to clean the data up and make sure that we're just getting the responses that we should and not counting extra data or things like that. This building census form is where you also put your student count, and it gets turned into the district contact person. And Shauna will go into more detail later on in this training on what that building census form looks like and what data both are captured thereon. I said this earlier, but it's vitally important that we say it again. Make sure students who should not take the survey do not. That if a parent has went through the process to turn in the paperwork to say, I do not want my son or daughter to complete the survey, we need to respect that and honor that and ensure that their student or students do not participate. To do that, make sure you have a reliable way to track students who are opted out of the survey. That survey, or excuse me, that opt-out note should come in either to the building principal or someone in the office or the administrative office. That's really up to the district census, or excuse me, district contact person to really organize that and manage that process. But just make sure you do have a sound process in place to get the word out to the individual classroom survey administrators to ensure that those youth aren't participating. Conduct the survey anytime during the time frame, which in 2018 is anytime between October 1st and November 9th. This can be you have everyone in your building do the survey on one day. It can be you get a classroom here, you get a classroom there. It's whatever works for you within that approximate 6-week window. And we do it that way because every school has a different schedule and different things that come up, and so wanting to provide as much flexibility as we can. So do schedule, do plan, do be very planful in when you're going to administer the survey. But as long as it falls within that October 1st to November 9th window, we are perfectly happy. Parent notification should have been done already, but if it hasn't, this is a reminder that it must be done at least 2 weeks prior to when you will be administering the survey. And so if you're not planning to do the survey until the end of October, let's say October 28th, parent notification could happen as late as October 14th. I would recommend you still do it much sooner than that. The sooner the better, but we do need to provide at least 2 weeks for parents and guardians to do their due diligence and decide whether they want their youth to participate. If there are students that will need more direct assistance, including perhaps reading the questions aloud, do consider active consent, but that is really a district and building decision. And so use your best judgment there and follow your individual school's policies as well. Some additional tips or ideas for avoiding problems and issues, and I mentioned this earlier, is reading the survey aloud. That is a possibility. That is something that's been done in previous iterations of the youth survey. We do recommend that you try to do that as a separate group privately, just for confidentiality's sake and for stigma and some students feel as comfortable as possible. If you get to the end of the class period and some students are not done, that is just fine. That they do not need to stay late, they do not need to stay in for recess, they do not need to miss their next class. Have them stop wherever that and just close the browser window. If you have a handle on how many may have not finished, please do make a note of that on the building census form, but if it's a thing period, you might not be able to see that, and that's okay. But if the power goes out, let's say, and all students in the class were somewhere in the middle of the survey, but you don't know where, do make note of that kind of situation and the number of who were affected. If you're in a one-to-one setting, please try not to rely on battery power for laptops or other one-to-one devices. Please do plug them in. That's something that can be controllable, or is hopefully something that can be done to ensure that we don't have students' systems or students' devices dying partway through the survey. And finally, an internet connection is needed for the survey to work. Again, it uses SurveyMonkey, so it should run on all systems, but that internet connection is an key part. Along with those problem areas I just talked about, some lessons we've learned from previous Iowa Youth Surveys. And we'll try to summarize these here. Do not share that URL publicly on the school website, parent newsletters, or anywhere else. That seems like we have this happen periodically, and it does mean that in some cases you might not get data back because we can't separate out your students' data from other random data or some other random noise that came in at the same time. So please do keep that secure. Do not make it public, and just do the best you can to make sure that just your students are completing the survey. Also, and I've said this several times already, but I'll repeat again, it's vitally important to keep the county, district, and building details accurate. So when the students are putting that in, that they are correct. We do clean the surveys, the data. We do our best to match things up, but having those numbers accurate from the get-go will go a long ways towards ensuring that is the case. And as you hopefully know, the Iowa Youth Survey is offered every other year, and it's offered to 6th, 8th, and 11th graders across the state. And so if you have mixed grades, if you have some 7th graders that are in with the 8th grade health class where you're administering the survey, please do just have those 8th graders complete the survey. That's something for in the state code as far as when we offer it and to what grades, and so we do have to honor that. And you'll see if you've looked at the survey, there are just 3 grade options when the students get to what is your grade. And so a 7th grader, or 9th grader, or 4th grader would have to skip that question, wouldn't know how to answer that question when they come. Additional lessons learned. The census data are really important. And in the cases where we need it the most, when there have been issues or when we have a district with 100 8th graders in it, but we have 300 records, that's when it's most important that we have those census forms completed accurately and submitted in a timely basis. Deshaun will get into the details of what goes into those forms, but we really do use those when it comes time to clean, and if we have multiple districts blended together for some reason to tease out where those data should point and who gets what data when we tally them up. I mentioned this earlier, but again, if there's a power outage, if the internet service goes out, if there's a fire alarm in your school and all the students have to stop partway through or whatnot, note that on your building census form, and that will then make its way to us. When we see there were 28 records from 6th graders on October 8th at this building, we'll know that even though they're incomplete, those are legitimate records and shouldn't be cleaned out or deleted out, and not added in to your data that are included in your report. As the students are completing the survey or responding to the questions, they should be using the next and previous page buttons. They should not be using the back button, and that's just to ensure the data are saving properly in SurveyMonkey, and which will ensure a more seamless transition. So you could certainly mention that as students are getting going on the survey, but it's pretty intuitive and straightforward, and so the students get to the final question and complete that question and click submit, they should receive a notice that the survey was successfully completed or submitted. That's just our way of saying you're all done. They'll get a thank you note as well, and then can go on with whatever they need to do next. And with
All
that, I'm
right.
going to turn it over to Deshauna. Take it away.
All right, hi. I'm going to start off by talking a little bit more about the census forms. There are two census forms. One is a building census form to be completed on paper that will be available on the Iowa Youth Survey website. And this form is to be completed by the persons administering the survey and then given to the district contact person. The second census form is online, and it's to be completed by the district contact person. And I'll go over these forms in more detail in the following slides. This is the information that we collect on the paper census form. Again, this form is to be collected by persons who are administering the Iowa Youth Survey, and the person will need to write down the building name, the building code, which that will be available on the Iowa Youth Survey website, the building contact person, and a list of IP addresses used for the survey. And if you do not know what IP addresses were used, you can contact your IT department and they will usually be able to help you with that. The building census form also requires the person administering the IYS to count the number of students completing the survey by grade. So there should be 3 numbers written there, 1 number for each grade, and if you do not have any students taking the survey for a particular grade, then please write 0. That way we know that there's 0 students and it just wasn't some missing information that we don't have. Finally, please write down any issues that you may have encountered while taking the survey. So again, if the power goes out, if you shared your survey link with another school or district, or you thought maybe you used the wrong link, we need to know this information. It's helpful to us when we're cleaning the data, because we want to make sure that the number of students that took the survey that you're writing down matches the number of survey records in our system as closely as possible. That's our goal. So any information that you can provide is useful. Thank you. Each building should complete 1 building census form, and after it's completed, it needs to be forwarded to the district contact person. And this district contact person will then complete and submit the district census form through the online census system. And we'll take a look at that online system next. All right, here it is. This is the online census system login page. It looks very similar to the registration system for those of you who have went into that system. The census system will be up and running by September 24th, 2018. Your username is the same username you used for the registration system if you have already gained access to that. If not, try your school-related email address as your username. If you cannot remember your username, then click the What's My Username link there in the middle, and you'll need to supply your school district's name and county in order to find your username. Now, if you know your username and you can't remember your password, then you can enter your username and click the Forgot My Password link. And the census system will send an automated email to your affiliated email account, and that email generated by the census system contains a link that will automatically fill in the username and password into the census login form. And this should reduce any problems with typing characters incorrectly or copying too many characters in the password field. Once you have successfully logged on, this is what your screen should look like. The top half of the online form contains district contact information that we have within the census system. Please edit these fields to update your district's contact name, their email address, and their phone numbers. We need this information just in case we have to contact you regarding the data we collected from your district. Again, our job is to make sure that we report the information as accurately and quickly as possible, so we might have to contact you with any questions that we have. The second half of the screen is where the district contact enters the collated building level census information. So the district contact person will list all dates the survey was completed for the district, as well as the IP addresses used across the district. The district contact person will also need to know with which districts they have a whole grade share agreement. So please be sure to type in no if your district does not currently whole grade share with another district. When we see empty spaces, we get nervous because we don't know if we don't have that information, someone forgot to write it. We never assume it's supposed to be 0. So we want to see the word no if you do not whole grade share with anyone else. The district contact person will also list any issues building contact persons reported during survey administration, and we encourage detail, as I said before, with describing problems with survey administration. And as Pat said earlier, if you know about how many students were unable to finish, that information is also very helpful for us. Lastly, the district contact person will need to enter the number of students participating in the IYS by building and grade, and also student enrollment by building and grade. And again, you want to have those student enrollment numbers ready to go. For example, for this screenshot, we have Postville. There are 2 buildings listed for Postville Community School District. There is the John R. Mott High School and Cora B. Darling Elementary Middle School, and notice there's little boxes there for the different grades. But you should not be able to enter in data for grades that are not available in that building. For example, we don't see a place to enter in 6th grade participation or enrollment numbers for John R. Mott High School because there should be no 6th graders in that building. That's the only time where, there's nothing to enter there, so you don't have to try to enter 0. We already know that there's nothing there. If the building names listed in the census system are incorrect, if there are more buildings than there should be or there's not enough, please let us know as soon as possible, and we will edit that form for you so that you can enter in the data correctly. And if you need to give someone else access to the census and registration system, then you can click the Grant Access link at the top of the screen. And please be aware that if you want to give someone access to the census system, you're also giving them access to the registration system since it's the same username and password. You'll see a list of email addresses that are associated with the school or district. So here you will see my email address. This is just a test. So it says Deshauna Jones at uiowa.edu. So this indicates that I already have access to this school or district. And if you want to add someone else, you simply put in their email address right there, and the person that you entered, they will get an email from the Iowa Consortium with their password, and they'll be good to go. There are 4 links at the top of the census system page. We just talked about the grant access link there, that 3rd one. And next to that is the Get Survey link button. And this is where you can find your district's SurveyMonkey link for the Iowa Youth Survey. You will share this link with your building IYS administrators, and in turn, the building administrators will share it with their students when the students are ready to take the survey. But again, please do not share the survey links with another district or post them publicly online in any way. You may email the link to students right before they take the survey. You can post them on a password-protected, secure online classroom environment. But again, do not share to any other district or anywhere else where someone else might be able to get a hold of them. You can click on the Get Survey link button to reveal your district survey link. However, you will not be able to take the survey until October 1st when data collection opens. Finally, you'll have the opportunity to request a merge report on your census form. You also had that opportunity on your registration form as well. A merge report is when we combine the Iowa Youth Survey results from your district with another district or school that is usually close in proximity. We suggest merge reports for schools or districts for smaller schools that have 50 or fewer students in any one grade. So if you have 50 or fewer students in 6th grade, 50 or fewer students in 8th grade, or 50 or fewer students in 11th grade. When there are fewer than 50 students in any one grade, your report may have some redaction. That is, you may not have results for some questions, since our policy is to redact data when there are a small number of students to answer a question. In addition, trend data may also be less stable when there are fewer individuals in each grade. And if your district whole grade shares, a merged report may be more representative of your student school environment. To request a merge report, you click the red Add Row button. And to complete the request, you need to know the other district or school you wish to merge with. You need to know the name, whether it's private or public, the county that the school or district resides in, and hit the save and exit button at the bottom when you have all of your information in. And what will happen is that district will receive an email, an automated email from the Iowa Consortium, and it will ask them, do you accept this? Do you want to have a merge report with this district? If they say yes, then that status that says pending right now will say accepted. If they say no, then that status will say rejected. So as soon as the other district responds, it'll be an immediate update on our system. And we will generate a merge report only when all parties in the merge request process agree to participate. So if there is a three-way merge and only 2 schools or districts agree, we cannot create a merge report for all 3 because one of them rejected it. To summarize the online system process, your login and your password for the registration system and the census system are the same. There's no need to request a new username or password for the census system if you already have access to the registration system. Buildings listed on the online census system for each district match those that are on the Department of Education 2017-2018 school information. If this information is not correct, please let us know as soon as possible. Every district or school must complete the online census form in its entirety, and each school or district must also only use its own survey link. We do not share links. We expect the census system to be open by September 24th, and once the system goes live, a link will be posted on the IYS website. And while you'll be able to see your school or district survey link, you will not be able to enter any data or go and look around at what the survey looks like in SurveyMonkey until October 1st. And here's a list of some materials to assist you with survey administration. So in addition to this webinar, the Iowa Youth Survey website houses a variety of documents, such as the facilitators handout, building and county codes, and other important announcements that you'll need to stay abreast of what's happening with the Iowa Youth Survey. If you encounter any problems with the census form, with the building census form or the online census form, please contact me at deshana-jones@uiowa.edu, which is my preferred way of contact. You can also give me a call at 319-335-4603. If you have any other problems or questions, you can contact Pat at pat.mcgovern@idph.iowa.gov or 515-281-5444. And there at the bottom, we have the link to the Iowa Youth Survey website. All right, thank you very much for your time. We greatly appreciate your participation in the 2018 Iowa Youth Survey. We definitely can't do it without you, so thank you.
Thank you, Deshana, and I echo that wholeheartedly. Thank you, everyone.